But let me tell you what day it is tomorrow. Tomorrow is June 21st, 2023. Yes, it's a very special day. Hope you guys are all prepared for June 21st, 2023. You might be thinking, what are you talking about, Liz? What on earth am I missing? Did I forget something significant? And the answer to that is indeed you did. You forgot something so pivotal, so existential, that you might actually be destroyed without even realizing it, because tomorrow, my friends, is the day Greta Thunberg has been warning us about. On June 21st of 2018, Greta Thunberg posted the following tweet. She said, a top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. Let me repeat that. A top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. That was June 21st, 2018. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. We are T-minus 1 day until all of humanity is wiped out because we didn't stop using fossil fuels, according to the top climate scientists, and of course, Greta Thunberg. I hope you guys are prepared. I hope you have your go bags or your rocket ships or whatever it is you're doing to try to save yourself from this catastrophe, this impending catastrophe that we're facing tomorrow. Because, you know, we're not allowed to question the science. We're not allowed to debate scientific ideas and hypotheses. We're not allowed to push back on the opinions of the experts when the experts are experts in the science. We're simply not allowed because you and I, we're the sorry people. We're just the silly little peons. We just have to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to everything that these scientists tell us, even when they are totally, entirely, ridiculously, cataclysmically wrong, like Greta Thunberg. All right, the United Nations, please tell me why we in the United States continue to give money to this organization. Do you know how much of our money we give to the United Nations every year? Look at this tweet from the United Nations. Look at this tweet. We're going to pull it up here on the screen for you. It says, hate speech incites violence and intolerance, undermines diversity and social cohesion, harms peace and development. This International Day for Countering Hate Speech, learn more about the impacts and actions you can take to say no to hate. You'll notice the picture that accompanies this tweet. The picture, it's a very clever graphic. It's a red background. And on top of the red background is a blue grenade. This grenade is made up of keyboard keys that have numbers and letters on them, obviously, depicting that your words are actually deadly violence. And on top of the grenade is the caption, words can be weapons. So the United Nations is not hiding what they think. This is not an inference that I'm making. This is not an assumption that is an assumption or a conclusion that I'm jumping to. This is what the United Nations thinks. They think our words can be weapons as deadly as a grenade. If you throw a grenade at someone, they die if they're hit by a grenade. If you throw words at someone, does that kill someone? Well, the obvious answer to that is no. But what the United Nations is trying to do, they're trying to associate or conflate words that they don't like, that perhaps dissent from their political agenda, with actual violence that kills people. Why are they doing this? Because if they can label words as actual violence, then they are justified in taking action to censor and to silence those words, your words and my words. This is their agenda, their global agenda. If you click on the link in that tweet, which I did, if you click on the link in this tweet, it takes you to a page. Let me click on it here so I can read it exactly to you. It's the United Nations page on hate speech, and it talks about how, its agenda to stop hate speech. It says the UN strategy and plan of action on hate speech. It talks about its strategy to, let me read this sentence. The strategy emphasizes the need to counter hate holistically while respecting freedom of opinion and expression, and to collaborate with relevant stakeholders including civil society organizations, media outlets, tech companies, and social media platforms. So the United Nations wants big tech to censor you, wants to control what the media narrative is on words and on hate speech. And remember, the phrase hate speech is a made-up phrase. Hate speech is what? Something that offends someone else? Well, yes, that's free speech. That's why we have a protection for free speech in our Constitution. If all speech were just pretty and fine, roses and rainbows, we wouldn't have to protect it because no one would try to stifle it. But people have a right to say things that can be awful, can be rude, can be wrong, can be immoral, can be mean. And it's those words that we protect because people still have a right to say them. But the United Nations wants to obliterate your right to say that, and it's funded by us. Like, we expect this. This phrase, stakeholders, that's a phrase from the World Economic Forum. That's a phrase from Klaus Schwab. He wrote a book called Stakeholder Capitalism. It's about how he wants to implement his Great Reset policy. Stakeholder capitalism is a euphemism for essentially a Chinese Communist Party style social credit score system. It's his ESG system, right? Stakeholder capitalism means businesses no longer just pay attention to the interests of their shareholders and of their consumers to build a profitable business, but they take into account sustainability and DEI and whatever else the left tells them to at any given time in pursuit of their ESG score. And it's really not capitalism anymore, because even though it's ostensibly a market economy, the businesses aren't really free to do what they want. They have to adhere to an ideology or they get squeezed out of the market. So when you hear this word stakeholders, this is what the United Nations is referencing. They're referencing Klaus Schwab's Great Reset agenda, which is anti-American. And again, we expect this from these globalist entities, whether it's the United Nations, whether it's the World Economic Forum, but the United Nations is funded by us. It's funded by the United States of America. Your money and my money goes to the United Nations. Why on earth are we allowing our money to fund that? To fund an effort to label our speech as weapons, grenades, as justification to silence us? This needs to be added to the list of questions for all the Republicans in the Republican primaries. Will you defund the United Nations? And they need to have an adequate answer, a thorough and adequate answer on how they would deal with the United Nations, because I am done with my money being used to fund political efforts to silence me, and you should be too.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.